All right, so we had our first diversity and inclusion committee meeting, and that's an interesting thing. Maybe we could take just a couple minutes to talk about that. And I'm not wanting this to be overly political, although there certainly are political elements to it. But just this week, the president did a federal-wide memo ending all diversity and inclusion training. And the rationale behind this, and this is for federal employees. So if you worked for the post office or the State Department, or I'm assuming Border Patrol or something like that, where maybe a little diversity inclusion training could go a long ways. But part of why they stopped the funding was this idea that Black Lives Matter is critical race theory, and it's like a version of Marxism, and it's anti-American, and we're not going to pay taxpayer money to indoctrinate federal employees on diversity and inclusion. So I just want to know if anyone had any thoughts about that. As you can imagine, I have a lot of thoughts about it being chair of the Diversity and Inclusion Committee, which we are unaffected because we're not federally funded, or we're not a federal organization. So as far as I know, the school is going to continue with our diversity and inclusion committee. But any thoughts or comments on that?
So what do you guys actually do on that committee?
In the past, we used to just highlight different cultures and ethnic groups. And so we'd have like kind of international film festival nights where we'd pick a movie like by Miyazaki or Kurosawa or from southern, Franco Zeffirelli, I mean, Italian movies, Asian movies, just trying to give the students a sampler of different cultures. And then we'd usually have a speaker come in from that culture, and we'd have food, stories, just kind of a informative exposure. But then as our school began to become more diverse, in fact, for the last 3 years, we have not had a majority ethnicity. And what I mean by that is no ethnic group has been over 50% on our campus the last 3 years. And I believe this year we have an equal amount of Hispanic students and white non-Hispanic students. At least that's the way in the demographic breakdowns they have it. The remain, and I think those are both at around 43%, and then the remaining percentages, I think we have about 7% African Americans, a couple percent Asian, and then some Native Americans is kind of rounds out that mix. So WASC, our accreditors, wanted us to kind of get out ahead of it to avoid any potential problems, because we weren't just kind of like a monocultural campus anymore, but we had all these different elements. So we've been working really hard by having like community town halls, and I'd like to have another one. Maybe we can have a virtual one even this month, where we invite the students to talk about their experiences here on campus, if they feel welcome, if they feel like it's their school, or if they feel like they're always an outsider, always like a visiting guest. And we certainly want to be aware if there are any racial issues, whether that's discrimination, slurs, just unacceptable, inappropriate behavior in our society at large, but especially for a Christian college and Christian community. And so what we've been trying to work with is to be available if people do have grievances or problems. For the most part, what I've gleaned from our town hall meeting so far is, even though there is some racist stuff at our school, for the most part, people felt it wasn't necessarily intentional or belligerent, but it was more out of ignorance. Like people just didn't know better about how offensive what they were saying or asking was. And that makes me feel better, because if that's the problem, we can fix it through education, right? But if it's a heart issue, I mean, that's going to need a change of heart, a change of conversion of how you look at others and the world. And so we're working at it on both fronts. We're trying to educate people, and that will include faculty. Yes, I know some of our faculty need help. I'm learning new stuff every day myself. staff, they definitely need to understand, and then for students. But the tension I'm dealing with is, I know when you try to force this kind of training on people, you can get like a backlash or resistance. So I'm really trying to get a buy-in from the school at large to see the value. And I get the critiques about critical race theory. If you don't know about critical race theory, it's like a modern form of Marxism. And basically, it's asking questions like, who benefits from the way things are? Follow the money. Who's making money from the way society is set up? And so a lot of Black Lives Matter apologists are actual critical race theories, but not all, right? There's the sentiment of Black Lives Matter, which I would hope everyone could agree on, but then there's a loose associations of semi-autonomous groups called Black Lives Matter that are part of this critical race theory or this Marxism light. What I would say about them is I think their critiques are profound. It's just I disagree with their solution because I'm not a Marxist, I'm a Christian. And Marxism is dialectical materialism, which means they only believe in the physical material world. So they're looking for physical material solutions to the problems of human beings, like the race issues. So they want to challenge Western and Christian presuppositions, like the nuclear family, capitalism, these sorts of things. What I like is their critique. I think they're spot on of who's benefiting the way America is right now. But I think I have a Christian solution, and that is a conversion of heart. And I believe that's what will allow us to see each other as brothers and sisters and equals. So anyways, that's what all that's about. Did I answer your question? Was that David?
Yes, sir. I think so.
Okay.
So,
Another thing we're doing is we're tracking, with Populi now we have the ability to track different ethnic groups. And I'm specifically looking at minority groups, which is everyone now, but specifically people of color, African Americans, Hispanic, and especially first generation college students. Because if you came from a family where your one or both of your parents are college graduates, you already have someone that can kind of help you navigate, you know, when to get in your applications, how to apply for grants, how to go through the process, how to time management, because your parent or someone in your family has gone through the process. But if this is your first time through, you may not have any resources or even have a clue how to navigate this world of academia. And so we're really trying to focus on those first generation college students to provide them the resources and support that they need to be successful and to graduate. So that's the other main thing I'm doing this semester. All right, well, I thought there'd be more comments on that, but maybe it's just me that gets spun up by things like this. Okay.